Thank you for coming. It's a tremendous blessing and gift just to have a group of people come into a room together to focus on something. And I want to say up front, putting together a dinner like this is no small task. And I want to start by thanking Tim and Patty for the effort that they've put into hosting this, making this possible. Not only this dinner and this time together, but coming alongside an organization that really has had no form and working hard to give it some form. So thank you, Tim and Patty. Hope you heard that. I am not comfortable in front of a camera. Probably less comfortable in front of a camera than I am with a group of people, but I'm a little bit nervous and I'm going to stumble over my words. But bear with me as I try to kind of talk my way through this. Well, let me just start with a short story. This morning, I was downstairs and I heard something hit a window, and then I heard the door open, and then I heard my daughter saying, you'll be okay, and she was talking to something, and then I heard her start crying, and then she just burst into tears. She completely lost it. And then later, she was sitting on the couch looking out the window at a bird that had hit the window and then died. And she, I was really struck by how quickly she connected and how quickly she empathized and identified and had emotions over and kind of had this experience. And I was thinking at how slow I am to do the same thing, to come to a point of compassion or to come to a point of just when there's a collision, when there's pain, when there's loss, when there's death. I think we spend years learning how to detach ourselves from what is wrong with the world, places where there is hurt. And to watch my 10-year-old, this whole thing happens right in front of her, and in some ways I want to get back to that. I want to feel again, and I share that because I think that as we go through life, we become more and more and more detached from what is real and what is the most maybe intimate experiences in living, and so. What we're trying to do with an organization, even stuff like this, where we gather together in a room and we say, well, what do you guys think about this? What do you connect with? How do we connect? How do we become more connected with things that really matter when it seems like much of life leads us down other roads? I'm going to be brief over the next 12 minutes now, trying to give you a sense for what Coldwater Foundation is. We're committed to a process of developing people and transforming communities. We are traditional in the sense that we're guided by a Christian faith. We're guided by an understanding of the Bible that gives us sort of a picture of what is the nature of God, What is the nature of man? What is the nature of the circumstances we find ourselves in? A guide for human flourishing, things like that. We are non-traditional in the ways that we engage, train, support, and challenge people to grow, people to find their way toward a life that is filled with meaning. Brief overview of what we do. We do that in 2 different venues. We do that with short programs that are a day to 21 days long, programs where we either do an open enrollment for an experience, or we've connected with an organization in a permanent community. It might be a church, it might be a public school, it might be a social service organization, but we've connected with that organization and we've invited, we've designed an experience that meets a need for them. But in all of these experiences, the topics might be a little different, the curriculum might be a little different, but they all deal with the big questions. Who am I? What is it that I have to offer? What is true about the world and the circumstances that we're in? How do I position myself to grow? So we do those in short experiences. Those experiences often take place in the wilderness. They might take place on a ropes course. They might take place in some sort of a service setting. So they are seldom taking place in places where it might be like a workshop or a classroom, standard classroom. They're often outdoors and in settings like that. So that's the first venue. Second venue is that we are trying to cultivate long-range programs. These might look like full-time staff positions that take place in the context of a church community or a college or another kind of another nonprofit. So, for example, we have a youth pastor, him and his wife, serving now in a church in Grand Marais, Minnesota. We have a full-time staff person beginning in August at a college in northwestern Iowa, doing obviously things that look different than that person that is employed at the church. We have a full-time staff person volunteering for an organization in Romania called New Horizons Foundation. So we're in these different venues. Those are built on partnerships that we have with that organization to solve a problem that they have that centers around developing people and transforming community. Likely, we're here because of maybe some common concerns. There are probably things that we share in common that we identify with. A concern for a world that has gone wrong, for a kind of a character that is dissolved in our culture, and things are not the way that they should be. There's been a lot of recent research out there, a lot of research that documents, what are these people called Christians? Well, what is it that they do, and what do their lives really look like? One of these books by a guy named David Kinnaman comes out of the Barna Group. It's called Unchristian. I don't know if you've read it or not, but really his thesis is that Christians, the way that Christians, believers, live their lives only really looks marginally different than the lives of everybody else. It sounded in Unchristian, his thesis is very similar to Ron Sider's book called The Scandal of the Evangelical Conscience.